Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. This is my summer series. We're going to be doing a series of short 10-minute or thereabouts videos looking at placements of planets in the 7th house. Now everybody's very intrigued by the 7th house because the 7th house correlates to other people and their role in our lives. It correlates to our marriage partners. It correlates to business partners. And when I say marriage partners, stepping back a little here, it correlates to people we commit to. So there's usually a written agreement or a contractual agreement, such as you buy a house together, you buy a car together, you open a bank account together, or you sign a marriage certificate together. These are the committed contractual agreements we see in the 7th house. So that is business partnerships, but it's also any committed type of personal relationships as well. Clients are also these contractual type of partnerships too. Someone pays you some money, they've therefore entered into a contract with you to provide a service as well. So these are the kind of realms governed by the 7th house, and of course they make a big difference and a big impact on how our lives unfold. So this summer, thanks for joining me, we're going to be exploring every Sunday for 10 minutes what it means to have one of these planets in the 7th house. So check out your chart. You can do so at astro.com, where you can bring up a chart, and in whole sign astrology you'll be looking for the house that sits exactly opposite your AC ascendant, and it will always have the DC point in it. The written letters DC will fall in your 7th house in whole sign astrology. So look for that DC, that's the descendant degree, and whatever sign that falls in is your 7th house in whole sign astrology. So let's get stuck in now to what it means to have the South Node in the 7th house. Well, the South Node is representative of where we've come from as a soul. So this can be over the course of many lifetimes, or if you're not a believer in reincarnation, it can actually correlate more to this particular incarnation in your childhood and early formative years. But I'm a believer in reincarnation, so that's the perspective that I will be approaching this from. The South Node tells us where we've been, what we've done, what we've experienced. It tells us the lessons that we have been able to learn that we can now integrate into our lives and use them as a source of leverage to move ahead. So for example, here in the 7th house, maybe in past lives you had experiences where you were involved in trade and sales, and you worked in business in the marketplace, and because of that now you've come into this life with great capacity to do business negotiations and wheeler dealers and trade and so forth, and you're just a natural at that. It's a no-brainer. It comes easily to you. Sales and working in business is just easy peasy lemon squeezy. But this lifetime you're actually heading more towards your North Node, and that's the energy you're going to need to master. So to do that, you're going to need to let go of a lot of the attitudes and a lot of the beliefs that might be holding you back through this attachment, through this comfort zone of the South Node Ketu in the 7th house. Let's take a look at what that means for us now. So here in the 7th house, Ketu tells us you've done many lifetimes of, as I've just illustrated, trade and what have you, business, but it's also many lifetimes of partnering and collaborating with others, working together with others, and you're comfortable doing this. You're comfortable collaborating, you're comfortable being in partnership with other people. So it's in this lifetime that you might actually start to lose a bit of interest in relationships now. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to have relationship in this lifetime, but it might mean that they lack the luster that they might have had in past incarnations for you, because what you really want to develop now, seeing as the North Node will be in your 1st house, you want to develop the self. You want to develop your own sense of courage and heroism and the ability to self-initiate. These kinds of 1st house things are what you're here to grow and develop. So you're going to be letting go of this dependency on other people, this need for other people in your life. You can still be in a partnership, you can still have business collaborations, you can still be married, but you will need to exert more of this independent attitude as life goes on. So you need to be in a relationship that gives you the freedom to be yourself, to find yourself, to know yourself more and more and more. The South Node here can indicate that the partner that you're with might not be fully engaged in the relationship. They might be distant, they might be preoccupied with something else, they're not fully present. And relationship works so much better when you are partnering with someone who is spiritual, because the South Node or Ketu is a very spiritual influence. So if you're with someone who is spiritual, who has, a great faith, a great belief, or they're involved in spiritual fields of work, perhaps, or careers, you're going to do so much better. The relationship will fit better rather than being with someone who's disengaged in the idea of relationship. So spiritual people are the big thumbs up for you guys. Sometimes when we've got the South Node here, we can tend not to notice what our partner needs because we're so focused on heading towards our North Node, in this case the Self, that we're not noticing, even though it comes natural to us to honor our partner's needs and because that's the South Node, it's a skill we've got. We might not be noticing it so much this lifetime because our attention is elsewhere. It's headed towards the North Node. So we can tend to do that. So being with a partner who's pretty self-sufficient in that sense, not a needy partner, is going to be better for you. Someone who's not codependent. It's also another indicator of people who can live together but function with very separate lives, very different careers, different sort of, being more autonomous, I guess, maybe having separate bedrooms, that sort of thing, living in love with one another and together with one another, but functioning in very autonomous ways. It's even quite good to spend time apart from one another. So, maybe you need to go and spend time meditating in an ashram and, you might go do that for a couple of months or something. And that can actually be very, very beneficial to the relationship, to have time apart. So you do need a partner when you've got the South Node in the 7th house, a partner who is very independent of you and does not need you. As I said, no codependent relationships here, thank you. And the more spiritual you are about your search for self and identity and who you are, the more spiritual you are, the more blessed this relationship is going to be. So in essence, when we have the South Node in the 7th house, we need to become very, very spiritual about relationships. We need to direct our search for validation, and let's face it, we all do like to be validated in life, but our search for validation needs to go to God, not to somebody else. And that is going to be much more beneficial. So seek your validation from the spiritual realms, from knowing who you are, from understanding your soul, getting stuck into spirit, doing spiritual practice, attending Buddhist temples, and whatever you need to get in touch with the soul of who you are. It's going to benefit your relationship so much more than looking for validation from your partner. Do you like who I am? Am I earning enough money for you? Do I please you? Blah, blah, blah. Not going to work. When you're seeking your spiritual self, then relationships are much more likely to work when you have South Node in the 7th house. So the key with South Node in the 7th house is be spiritual. Do your spiritual seeking for understanding the self, because you're on a journey to know thyself, and seek partners or be with partners who are spiritual, who are highly enlightened people, who are very humble, who might even be channelers of spiritual things and psychically inclined themselves. The more you fill your life with these kinds of components, the more life will work, and you will be able to then focus your energy towards the discovery of self, the initiation of self, and assertion of who you are in this lifetime, which is exactly what you're here to do, the mission you're on when you have South Node in the 7th house. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for this journey through the planets and the nodes in the 7th house and what it means. It's been so fun to spend the summer with you doing this 10-minute astrology series. If you've enjoyed it, do let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe. It benefits me and the work I do for you for free. So do that and share my work with others who might be interested. I certainly would appreciate that very, very much. And I hope you've enjoyed summer here in Australia with me, even if you're not in Australia and you're on the other side of the world. I'll have another series ready to come at you very shortly in the next couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to sharing a new journey with you then. Thank you all, and God bless.